You don't have enemies. You have an addiction to being wronged. Quick question. That person you despise, the coworker, the ex, the family member you mentally prosecute every single time you're in the shower, when's the last time they actually did something to you? Not 6 months ago, not the principle of it, today, this week. Because if the answer starts with, well, not recently, but then congratulations. You're running a full-scale war with no opponent on the other side of the field, and you're exhausted from it, obviously. Humans have this beautifully stupid tendency to cast themselves as the wronged hero of their own story. It feels good. It provides structure. You've got a narrative, you've got a villain, and, most importantly, you've got an excuse for why things aren't going the way you wanted. How could it be your fault? You're the protagonist. Protagonists don't cause their own problems. They endure them with a clenched jaw and a dramatic inner monologue. The problem is, real life doesn't come with villains. It comes with people. Flawed, self-interested, occasionally terrible people who are too busy starring in their own movie to play the antagonist in yours. That coworker who threw you under the bus in front of your manager? In his version, he was just being transparent. Your ex who blindsided you? In her version, she left because she had to. Nobody wakes up thinking, I'm the villain today. Everyone, every single person who has ever wronged you believes they're the good guy. So if everybody's the hero, who exactly is your enemy? Your brain has a villain factory, and business is booming. Here's what's actually happening under the hood. Your brain is a meaning-making machine, and its favorite genre is conflict. Daniel Wegner's research on ironic process theory showed something absurdly counterintuitive. The harder you try to suppress a thought about someone, the more aggressively your brain fires it up. Tell yourself, stop thinking about that person. And your neural wiring basically goes, oh, you mean this person? Let me pull up every file I have. Your brain doesn't want resolution. It wants engagement. Enemies are engaging. They give your idle processing power something to chew on between meetings, during commutes, at 2 a.m. when you should be sleeping. A grudge is a podcast your brain autoplays on loop. Same episode, same arguments, same fury, zero new information. And the wildest part? Half the enemies people carry aren't even active threats. They're ghosts. How's that for a productive use of your finite time on this planet? I have no enemies is the most dangerous sentence you can say. Most people hear, I have no enemies, and immediately picture some yoga retreat, incense-burning, everyone is beautiful type who gets walked over and calls it spiritual growth. Some soft, harmless person hugging their way through conflict. Hilarious. And completely wrong. Declaring you have no enemies is one of the most aggressive moves available to a human being. What you're actually announcing is, no one on this planet gets to dictate my emotional weather. You can insult me, undercut me, try to drag me into your chaos, and I'm going to look at you, say cool, and keep building what I'm building. Think about how infuriating that is from the other side. Someone comes at you expecting a fight, expecting the satisfaction of watching you lose your composure, expecting to matter enough to ruin your afternoon, and you just don't engage. You walk away with your pulse unchanged. That's devastating. Ask anyone who's ever tried to argue with someone who genuinely didn't care. There's nothing more disarming than total indifference from a person who clearly has the capacity to do damage, but simply refuses to waste the energy. Seneca wrote about this 2,000 years ago, and the observation still lands. Anger is temporary madness. You don't control it. It controls you. The moment someone else's behavior decides how you feel, you've handed them the remote to your entire operating system. They press a button, you react. Press again, react again. You're not in a rivalry at that point. You're a vending machine. Insert provocation, receive emotional response. Rent-free real estate. The actual cost of keeping enemies. Let's talk about what grudges actually cost. Because people treat resentment like it's free. Like it's just this passive thing sitting quietly in the background. It absolutely is not. Maintaining an enemy takes real cognitive resources. Every time you replay that argument, your amygdala fires as if it's happening again, right now, in real time. Cortisol spikes, heart rate climbs, Your body physically cannot distinguish between the actual event and your mental replay of it on a random Tuesday night. Robert Sapolsky, the Stanford neuroendocrinologist, spent decades studying stress responses and arrived at a conclusion that should embarrass all of us. Humans are the only animals stupid enough to trigger their own fight or flight response with their imagination. A zebra gets chased by a lion, escapes, and goes back to eating grass 5 minutes later. You get a passive-aggressive email from Karen in accounting, and you're still composing the perfect, devastating reply in the shower 4 days later. Do you see the math here? Keeping someone as your enemy is renting out a triplex in your skull. Penthouse views, central air, zero rent, to a person who is probably sitting on their couch right now watching a cooking show without a single thought about you. You're the only one paying utilities on this grudge. You're the one losing sleep, losing focus, burning through energy that could have gone toward literally anything productive. Your enemy living their life. So be honest with yourself for 10 seconds. When you hold on to that resentment, who exactly is it punishing? The wars you enrolled in that were never yours. Then there's the other flavor of enemy, the inherited kind. The friend who hates someone, so now you hate them too, automatically, without a single first-hand experience to justify it. The family drama you were conscripted into at 12 years old and never formally left. The internet stranger whose political opinion made you so furious you spent an hour crafting a response to someone who will never change their mind and probably didn't even read past your second sentence. You didn't start these wars. You didn't choose these opponents. But somehow you're carrying the weight of conflicts that have nothing to do with your actual, lived, day-to-day existence. You enrolled in someone else's fight the same way people sign up for a free trial and forget to cancel. Except the subscription fee is your peace of mind, and it's been auto-renewing for years. Marcus Aurelius, Roman emperor, full-time Stoic, part-time overthinker who clearly needed therapy but settled for journaling, used to talk himself out of reacting to people who irritated him. His sharpest entry essentially boils down to this. When you wake up, remind yourself that today you'll encounter people who are meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, and dishonest. Then remind yourself that none of it becomes your problem unless you volunteer for the job. Applied to your life without the toga, before you jump into someone else's conflict, before you pick up someone else's grudge like it's a baton in a relay race, ask yourself one thing. Does this fight actually belong to you? Because 9 times out of 10, you're bleeding for a war you never needed to enlist in. Cancel the subscription. Walk away from the draft. The battlefield was never mandatory. Lower your guard. The only siege is coming from inside. Here's the part that actually stings. You can cancel every external enemy. Block, mute, walk away, forgive, forget, the full toolkit. And you'll still have one opponent left. The one who's been running the whole operation the entire time. You. The voice that tells you you're falling behind. The one that replays your worst moments at 3 a.m. in cinematic detail. The one that watches someone else succeed and immediately calculates how far behind you must be by comparison. That voice doesn't need an outside villain to fuel it. It manufactures threats domestically, around the clock, with the raw efficiency of a factory that never closes. And that's where the real shift lives. The one that changes the trajectory. It starts when you stop scanning every room for potential threats. When you stop treating conversations as chess matches. When you realize some people have been walking around with their fists up for so long, they've genuinely forgotten why they raised them in the first place. Lower them. Walk forward anyway. Keep walking even when part of you wants to turn back and fight something, anything, just because fighting feels more familiar than building. Nobody is trying to destroy you half as much as you are. And the person who finally stops swinging, who carries all that weight across all that distance and still chooses to build something rather than burn it all down, that person didn't just survive. That person actually made it out. If that landed, subscribe. We're here every week taking apart the stories you tell yourself so you stop living inside them.